Welcome to 908 ENT, the podcast. I'm your host, Sal Liberato. We're here to help you take another step towards success. Now let's get ready to learn the basics from the best. What's going on, everyone? Thank you for tuning back into another episode. Today, our guest is Billy Angelo. Billy, thank you for coming on today.
You got it, man. Happy to be here.
You got it. Billy is a partner with Angelo and Associates, certified public accountants. They are a New Jersey CPA firm dedicated to helping their clients succeed financially by providing professional, personalized services for their individual and business needs. Billy specializes in working with psychologists, physical therapists, and other licensed professionals. But anybody can Google you, Google the firm. What would you really like our listeners to know about you?
I think you pretty much nailed it, dude. Like, we're just providing support to small business owners, people that are not going to be working with, publicly traded companies or, massive CPA firms. We're providing support to the people in the community, the business owners in the community. What we're really, really good at is giving them financial advice, giving them a framework that they can have their accounting and taxes and all that stuff taken care of by us, by a third party, which affords them the time to run their business, to make these big, important decisions, to manage their employees, to do all the things that are involved with, running a business on a day-to-day basis. And they don't have to get bogged down with, trying to reconcile their QuickBooks or, when's that next tax payment due? We take care of all that stuff for them.
That's awesome. Yeah, because that's definitely time consuming. If you're a person or you're a business, it don't matter.
Right.
Yeah. So just to get started, I always like to ask everybody, what are the three simplest things that lead to success?
Three simplest things that lead to success. I would say off the top of my head, the first one, definitely non-negotiable, is integrity. It's all about being honest, having strong moral principles, especially in my line of work. We are trusted with sensitive information, and we're looked to give advice for crucial decisions, stuff that affects people's life savings or their success of their business. Showing that you're reliable and ethical not only builds trust with our clients, but it also sets a foundation for long-term relationships. People want to do business with those that they can count on, those who stand by their word, especially in the CPA client relationship. It's paramount.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, integrity, totally non-negotiable. The next one I would say is adaptability. And I think of this like open-mindedness mixed with humility. The world is changing dramatically on a month-to-month basis. We all say it.
Mm-hmm.
And being adaptable means that you are ready to learn, you're willing to change your approach, and you're humble enough to admit that there's always something you could improve upon. It's about staying effective and being a lifelong student, always curious and ready to evolve. And like I said, humility is a big part of that, because without the humility, if you think that you're doing everything the best way, then you're not going to be looking for new solutions because you already think you're doing it the best way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's having that humility, looking for better ways, and just staying ahead of change. The last simple thing that leads to success, in my opinion, is a positive attitude. And this might sound cliche, but it's a total game changer. It's not just about being cheerful and smiley, though you could do that too. It's about maintaining a mindset that looks for solutions instead of looking at the problems, or embracing a challenge as an opportunity, or instead of seeing an obstacle, you see the potential. When you hit a snag, which you always do, by having a positive attitude that pushes you to look for creative solutions, because your brain's working in this solution-based way, not a problem-based way. And it's infectious. Having a positive attitude is absolutely infectious. It transforms the mood of your team. It uplifts meetings. And, especially what we do is sometimes accounting and taxes can be a mundane process, especially when we're relaying our information to our clients. And we have a positive attitude, it can come across as an energizing experience. The client feels like they've been empowered with this knowledge instead of just kind of, moping through it. So, like I said, it's not just about, being optimistic and smiley. When I say positive attitude, I mean being resilient, being proactive, and being a driving force for positive change. Um, Marcus Aurelius said, "A man's life is what his thoughts make of it." And if you accept that notion, especially that there have been tons of other, great thinkers throughout history who have echoed similar quotes or echoed similar ideas in their own quotes. So if you accept that notion as fact, then a positive attitude will lead to a positive life. It's what you're thinking about. This is what your thoughts are centered on. This is what you're attracting. This is what you're being attracted to, and it just has this ripple effect.
Yeah, 100%. Those are three great ones. But then even the positive mindset, like you said, it's cliche, but a lot of people have said like certain cliches, even though they're cliches, they like actually work. They seem so simple, but like that's almost kind of what you need. There's no
Yeah,
like complex, like, oh, I have to do this crazy thing. Like, no, it's just simple.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah, no, that's
absolutely.
great. And then can you share a moment or experience that inspired you to pursue your career?
I don't think that there was one single aha moment that propelled me to work um, as a CPA. Um, Instead, it was more like an ongoing experience growing up. My father has always been a CPA,
Hmm.
providing support to local business owners and doing exactly what we're doing now. And he was, he still is exceptional at what he does. And as a kid, I'd tag along with him sometimes, or we'd run into people that he worked with around town. And the way that these people talked about my dad, the respect and gratitude in their voices, it left a deep impression on me. They would share stories with me about how my father helped them turn their business around or how he guided them through tough financial decisions. And hearing these testimonials time and time again over the course of decades made me realize the impact of this profession and how it's not just about numbers and data and tax returns, but it's about people and helping them achieve their dreams and their successes. My father, he was and still is my idol. I love the man. I talk to him 10 times a day. He's the best guy ever. And we still work together. And I've always wanted to emulate him, not just in his professional competence, but in the way that he connects with and genuinely helps people. That's what drew me to this career, that it's not just a job, it's a chance to make a real difference in people's lives.
Yeah, that's amazing. So can you maybe share a valuable lesson that you learned from your dad throughout that whole kind of journey?
Yeah, I mean, my dad he told us a million times in the context of, just being in the house and, family stuff, and also in the business context. He told us a million times, always do the right thing. And that's the most general, cliche,
Yeah.
widely given advice ever.
Hmm.
But when you hear it a million times, it resonates, and it kind of, that's the North Star.
Hmm.
You're presented with thousands of decisions every day. And sometimes you're called upon to make these tough decisions. And when you're at an impasse, you just go back to that advice, like which one of these is the right thing to do? Which
Hmm.
one is, not necessarily easier or better, but which one is the correct thing to do?
Yeah, 100%. That's awesome. I feel like that goes back to the trust, especially like in your field. So like doing the right thing and people knowing that, you're doing that, I feel like just adds that much more trust to the relationship.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, it technically is a quote, but I don't know. What's your favorite quote, motto, mantra? I mean, always doing the right thing could technically be a quote, but you have like any others that you like?
Oh man, I've too many to list. Um, I really too many to list. First one that pops in my head, uh, Albert Einstein, strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value. I love that. Like, be of value. add value to all the relationships that you're in, and that leads to success. So strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value. Another one that I've been thinking about lately, Aristotle, he said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence
Hmm.
then is not an act, but a habit.
Yeah. That's that again, those are like they're simple things, but like they couldn't be more true. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So in the intro, we talked about the different industries that you specialize in. You mentioned that you work with psychologists, physical therapists, and other licensed professionals, comprise a large portion of your client base. Could you elaborate on why you've specifically chosen to focus on this particular segment and how your expertise aligns with their unique needs?
Yes, absolutely. I'm glad you asked about that. The decision to focus on psychologists, physical therapists, and other licensed professionals was a very deliberate one. It
Mm-hmm.
actually happened by accident, but then once it happened, we just dove, headfirst into helping this specific segment of business owner. At the core of it, I have profound respect for what I call the helpers of our society.
Mm-hmm.
These are the individuals who dedicate their lives to assisting others, and they put the needs of their patients or their clients before their own. So, in a way, by supporting them, I feel like I'm contributing to the greater good, helping the helpers, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
My expertise as a CPA aligns well with the unique financial landscapes that these professionals have to navigate. For instance, psychologists and therapists often deal with the complexities of running a private practice, like managing their workload, HIPAA compliance, managing the therapists that work for them, planning for taxes, all that stuff. And my role is to provide them with financial strategies and stability that allow them to focus on their patients without worrying about their financial well-being. They trust me and they know that we're taking care of that aspect, and they can go out and treat their patients and be the best business owner possible. So by offering tailored financial advice and planning, my team and I can help them navigate all the challenges that they face effectively. So in essence, my focus on this segment stems from a desire to offer support and guidance to those who spend their lives supporting others. And it's incredibly fulfilling to know that by helping them achieve financial stability and growth, I'm indirectly contributing to the valuable work that they do in our communities. So it's a symbiotic relationship. Their success in their fields allows me to succeed in mine.
That's amazing. That's a really good like why too, because some people are like, oh yeah, we work with these people, we work with those people, but like why? Why do you work with them? So the fact that you have that, I feel like, is just that much more impactful. And
Yeah. If
then
the why is just money, my thought is that's only going to get you so far. Like the money
mhm.
is nice, but it's not going to lead to that job satisfaction, to that fulfillment that a lot of people are lacking. And I'm sure all of us know very, very wealthy people that are unhappy.
Mhm.
So there's some correlation between money and happiness, but it's certainly not the only factor.
Yeah. And then just like business wise, because it's always like, definitely an interesting topic. If you should like, no matter what field you're in, if you should like totally specialize, like this is the exact type of either client or customer business that we work with, or it's like, no, we work with like everybody and anybody. Can you give any advice to anybody that's maybe considering that in their business?
Well, I mean, it's tough to give advice about something like that. It's totally personal,
Yeah.
but we have clients all over the map. We have
Hmm.
clients that are landscapers. We have clients that are lawyers. We have clients that own restaurants. We have clients that are engineers. We have clients that are plumbers and electricians and contractors, like all over the map.
Hmm.
Um, Most of our new clients, 9 out of 10 of the phone calls that we get from business owners that want to retain us to be their CPA are psychologists, physical therapists, dietitians, people in that,
Hmm.
the professional, licensed professionals, we call them. So there is no specialty in my field. And let me just be totally frank about that. The
Mm-hmm.
IRS doesn't care whether you have, a pizzeria or a podcast or, anything else. Like
Yeah.
taxes are taxes, income
Uh-huh.
is income, right? Real estate has a few little nuances to it. And,
Mm-hmm.
if you like drill for oil or you mine for precious metals, the IRS has like special provisions for those people. But
Mm-hmm.
99% of the businesses in the United States have the exact same rules
Mm-hmm.
for taxes. So it's not about like we specialize and work with these people because, it's so nuanced within the
Mm-hmm.
tax code. It's not. It's just a matter of when you have a lot of clients in the same industry, you really get to know their pain points. You really get to know the things that they're looking for, and you can stay ahead of it and you can offer them solutions while they're still realizing that they have this problem. And and you're just pulling that information from other clients you have in the same field, and the other clients find that extremely helpful and extremely valuable. And we've gotten quite a few referrals as a result of that proactive mindset.
Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting because it's definitely a hot topic, I feel like, within business across all industries.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So, getting to everybody's favorite question, does hard work beat talent or does talent beat hard work?
Does hard work, this is an easy one. I think I
I'm
actually have an
there is
empirical answer to this.
there is technically a full saying, but I left the end off just to kind of leave it open ended to see what people say.
Yeah. So I think I have an empirical answer to this, not just a like, theoretical answer. Between all the business owners that we work with in the office, as well as people that I know in my personal life, people
Mm-hmm.
that I know very, very well, I've seen people who couldn't pass a high school reading test and who have flat out incorrect business principles.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen these people accumulate massive amounts of wealth. It's because they put their heads down and they work harder than anyone else. Super hard work will absolutely cover up a lot of other deficiencies.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that what I would prescribe for someone who's starting their own business? Like, be not smart and do everything wrong, but like work really hard, you're gonna be successful. Like, of course not. I would never tell
Yeah.
anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Read books, listen to podcasts, talk to successful people in your field, get a mentor, copy people that you admire. That is a good substitute for God given talent in the context of business.
Mm-hmm.
And once you have that under your belt, then you could be as successful as you like just by scaling up or scaling down how hard you work. As far as talent goes, you could think about it in the context of sports.
Mm-hmm.
Ronaldo summed it up. He said, talent without working hard is nothing. As simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
And you could ask any player in the NBA, just because someone is 6'8" and has disproportionately long arms and incredible hand-eye coordination doesn't mean they're going to make it in the NBA. They probably couldn't
Mm-hmm.
even make it on a decent college team. The guys at the top work their hearts out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's definitely true. And we've had some people that have played professional sports that have been on the podcast, and they say everybody that's a professional has talent. Like you don't just become a professional without talent. So the differentiator is that hard work.
Yes, you hear pro athletes talking about it all the time. They actually
Yep.
resent when people say, "Oh, he's so talented. He's so talented." They're like, "Man, I'm in the gym at 5 o'clock every morning. I'm
Yep.
doing like 3 sets a day. Like, don't talk to me about talent. I'm working my butt
Yeah.
off."
Yeah. 100%. No, that's a great answer. And it's just interesting because it's literally a this or that question and nobody's had the same answer. So it's definitely neat to hear. So then what is the best way to overcome an obstacle or setback, whether that's like you personally or like, if you have any clients or something that's going on within the business?
The best way to overcome an obstacle or setback. Let me start by saying the worst response to an obstacle or setback is blaming other people,
Mm-hmm.
like your boss or your coworker or competitor or the president, or blaming macro conditions like the economy or the weather. Blaming things outside your control gets you nowhere and
Mm-hmm.
just makes you weaker because you don't bother looking for a solution if you already said that this is out of your hands.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the other hand, a guy that I love, Stephen Covey, um, he said, I'm not a product of my circumstances. I'm a product of my decisions. So when I'm presented with an obstacle or a setback, I try to think about what I did to create the situation. What can I do to get out of it?
Mm-hmm.
Reach out to people that I respect and have the humility to ask for help, and keep your eye on the goal, keep your eye on what you set out to do. And all those things put together will help you overcome, I found, helped me to overcome any obstacle or setback.
Yeah, that's great. And then it goes back to one of your 3 points, like having the humility to be like, hey, I messed up, or like, hey, can you help me out with this? This is what's going on.
Exactly. Own your mistakes as fast as you possibly can. The people around you really, really appreciate that. When you double down on your mistakes, it's just toxic. Like, why would you dig the hole deeper? You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. And then what you said about just starting to blame certain things, you take the power away from yourself to get you out of that situation. So that's definitely interesting too.
Absolutely. I don't think you're going to talk to too many successful people that identify as victims.
Yeah.
Now, these people might have, endured terrible hardship in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them do. You read about, United States presidents or, CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. You read these autobiographies or their biographies, and, they're rife with stories about, growing up with no electricity and no plumbing and,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even like being abused and, just all sorts of terrible things. And they use that as fuel. They use that as, I have to get out of this. I'm not going to, the buck stops here, and I'm going to, turn things around. I'm going to be a success. And they don't identify as victims. People that identify as victims, it just, it's just a downward spiral.
Yeah, 100%. And then that's like perfect segue into our next question. So what do you think is more important, passion or motivation?
Oh man, this is a tough one. More important, passion or motivation? Um, I mean, practically speaking, it's probably motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Just to go to the extreme, if you're the most passionate person in the world, like you absolutely love the NFL and you're passionate about it, and you're gonna, you want to start a blog and you're gonna write about the games, and everything there's to know. You're passionate about it. You're foaming at the mouth watching these games. If you have zero motivation, there is no blog. There's not one single blog post. There's not one single letter written on the screen. If you have tons of motivation and no passion, it's almost like the hard work thing. Like,
Yeah.
you can be successful if you're super motivated. Are you going to be happy without any passion? Probably not, but you'll be successful.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it depends, what you're trying to achieve. But, I think the magic is finding a balance, or at least having both of those things. If you have a ton of passion and a ton of motivation, look out, because you're just going to
Yeah.
take the world over.
Yeah, no. Obviously you need a little bit of both, but that first example, that was really good. Nobody's like brought up like an example like that. So that definitely kind of gets the point across about
Nice.
motivation. So then in your industry, obviously stuff's always changing. And then just business wise, obviously stuff's always changing. How do you stay updated or continue to learn? Whether that's like books, trainings, podcasts, events, networking things, what are you kind of doing?
Yeah. So the way that I stay updated and continue to learn is I read voraciously.
Mm-hmm.
Business books, history books, psychology, neurology, golf, pretty much any nonfiction I can get my hands on. I also really like the Huberman Lab podcast.
Mm-hmm.
He's very, very generous about sharing the knowledge that is being uncovered in his laboratory, as well as in like the entire field of the sciences.
Mm-hmm.
I also watch a lot of Gary V and Alex Hormozy videos on YouTube. These
Mm-hmm.
guys are putting out a ton of really practical business content. Like, if you watch these guys and you do what they say, I am confident that your business will improve.
Yeah, 100%. And then the Hormozy book, I think his first book was better than the second one, the $100 Million Offers. I read it, and honestly, that was like one of the only books that I implemented so much from. Like, there's other books you read, you're like, okay, yeah, that's good, that's great too. But that book I implemented the most from. So
It's
that's
funny.
definitely a good book.
I didn't read that, but I did read the second one. I
Oh,
just finished
really?
actually like a week or two ago. I finished $100 million leads, and I
Yeah, no,
loved
it
it
was
for
good.
yeah, for the same reason. He's basically writing a textbook.
Mm-hmm.
He's like,
Yeah.
this is what I did. I'm not telling
Mm-hmm.
you to do it. I'm just telling you I'm very successful. And here is exactly what I did step by step. There's illustrations, there's bullet points. Like it's as plain as day. Like just do this. Now it's not easy, right? It's still a ton of work,
Oh,
but
yeah.
there's no guessing. He's telling you, like, this is it.
Yeah, no, that was good. But the first one, I thought it was like, just from like a sales perspective, it was just like so simple and like definitely different than what like your generic like business school sales like teaches you. So
Totally.
it was definitely good. And then you mentioned you do read like a lot of business books as well. Like other than the Hormozy books, you have any like recommendations for somebody that's maybe just starting out that you would recommend them like a book to read for business
Oh,
if they're
dude.
listening to this?
Yeah. I mean, a million.
Maybe
I,
one just like, just if they're just starting out, like, hey, I'm looking to start a side gig or, I want to do this. Like, what's like a good book for them to maybe check out?
so I would say Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. I love The Go Giver by Bob Berg and John David Mann.
Mm-hmm.
You also have Traction by Gino Wickman, The E Myth Revisited, and there's a ton of really, really great business books.
Mm-hmm.
This is one area where you can just type it into Google, like
Oh,
best business
yeah.
books, and you're going to get gold. Like those books are really, really great.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you for that. So, as we come to a close here, what's one final piece of advice you would give our listeners to help them take another step towards success?
Piece of advice I would give to the listeners to help them take a step towards it. I would say the advice that has guided me through my career in life, the advice that has resonated the most with me is to embrace the power of continuous learning and adaptability and do everything you do with maximum integrity. The landscape of success is constantly changing. What works today may not work tomorrow. So you have to stay curious, stay hungry for knowledge. I would, I read widely, listen to different perspectives, attend workshops, never shy away from new experiences. And as an add on to that, and this is something that Alex Hormozy talks about, is you have to apply the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Knowledge alone is like having a lamp that you don't turn on. And I'm guilty of this.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll find myself reading books like I'm in a race to read as much as possible. But sometimes I have to slow down and think about what I read, think about how I can apply it, and then actually apply it.
Mm-hmm.
And another, huge one is never underestimate the power of human connections. People talk about networking, and of course, that's very important. But a step further is to build genuine relationships, offering to help without expecting anything in return. Because
Mm-hmm.
often the success that you're seeking comes from the most unexpected places, people, collaborations. So just do the right thing, try to help people, try to add value, keep learning, keep adapting, work hard, build meaningful relationships. And that's what I feel is the roadmap to success.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. You definitely provided some great value during this podcast. So thank you, Billy.
You got it, man.
Everyone, thank you for listening. Feel free to reach out. And then, Billy, what's the best way if somebody wants to connect with you? Would it be LinkedIn or what do you think the best way is?
Yeah. I mean, LinkedIn is great. Billy Angelo. You can go to our website. It's angelocpafirm.com. And, I'm happy to field any question or talk to anybody about their business, their financial goals, or anything else.
That's awesome. Yeah. And then I'll put the links in the show notes so anybody can connect with you.
Thanks, Al.
You got it. Thank you, Billy. It's been great.
All right, man. Have a great day.